You found yourself on another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United, and how am I going to put this episode into a title? I can think of it like this. Cavs put on a fight while Luka sends the Bulls on a flight. Cavs showed fight, Bulls didn't want to play. Simple as that. We're going to talk about it all, though, on Let 'Em Know Kings United. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. This is Let 'Em Know Kings United. Let 'em know, Nation, this might be the shortest show that I ever done, but you already know what time it is. Welcome to another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United, your Cleveland Cavaliers, Chicago Bulls, and Sacramento Kings postgame reaction podcast. I'm your host, Skylar Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning into today's program, and you can find Let 'Em Know Kings United, which is 100% completely free and available on your favorite podcast app, like Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff, and my YouTube channel, NJHawk40. If you are watching this show on YouTube, please do me a favor, hit the like button on the video, hit subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn on your notifications, hit that notification bell so you know when the next time Let 'Em Know Kings United goes live, and leave a positive comment down below. Give the show a follow on those platforms if you can, please. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this show on. It is an amazing way to support the podcast, and I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. The Cavs, they took a really tough loss inside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse against the Phoenix Suns, who had Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Grayson Allen, who was lighting the Cavaliers up from three, all that good stuff, 117 to 111. But I'm going to take this loss as a positive loss for the Cavs. You want to know why that I'm taking this unfortunate loss as a positive loss? Because this team fought back. This team showed a lot of fight. Phoenix punched Cleveland in the mouth a couple of times. And I thought at times in this game, I thought Phoenix was going to run away with it. I mean, coming in, they nearly had a majority healthy roster coming in, while for Cleveland, they didn't have a full roster because they still had three key starters out. Of course, Donovan Mitchell, who is ineligible now to win all NBA or postseason awards. Let me get at that before I talk about this game. This crap ain't right, bruh. This crap ain't right. I mean, I get it's a rule that the NBA has enforced at the beginning of the year, but give me a freaking break. Give me a freaking break. You just robbed Donovan Mitchell of an all-NBA first team. You robbed him. And Adam Silver, I know you're the commissioner of the NBA, but I don't agree with that crap. I seriously do not agree with that. I don't. This is not right. You shouldn't punish guys who are injured of no fault of their own. No fault of their own to not get awards because you made a BS bogus rule that says you got to miss 65. If you miss 65 games, you ain't going to get anything. Well, I don't agree with that because, number one, you cannot put the blame on injuries. I mean, injuries happen. It's a part of the game. And you can't blame it on injuries. You can't do it. I mean, injuries happen. That's part of the game. That's number one. Number two, and more importantly, Donovan Mitchell has worked his tail off this year. He's worked his tail off to improve his game. And he's been hooping in his second season in Cleveland. I hope he stays in Cleveland, but nevertheless, you are taking away an all-NBA first team from an all-star named Donovan Mitchell. Pathetic. absolutely pathetic, absolutely inexcusable. It is a BS rule that needs to be investigated. But nevertheless, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, they combine for a lot of points. Kevin Durant, 37. Devin Booker at 27 in his return from a right ankle sprain as the Phoenix Suns win over a injury-depleted and very short-handed Cleveland Cavaliers squad tonight, 117-111. But like I said at the top of the show, I appreciate the amount of fight. I appreciate the amount of grit that this Cavaliers team had. KD also had 8 rebounds, 6 assists for Phoenix, who are 1 game ahead of Sacramento for 6th place in the Western Conference. Booker had missed 4 games due to injury, but played 38 solid minutes, and along with those 27 points, he also had 7 assists and 6 boards. KD said Book's communication has been on point, but his intangibles are what we miss the most. It's good to have him out there with his talent, and I'm glad he was able to get his feet wet in a tight game 2. Phoenix trailed 63-44 midway through the second quarter, but answered with a 43-15 run that ended deep in the third. And you know what? I love the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers got off to a really, really strong start in this game. I mean, Darius Garland, he was hot. He was en fuego coming out of the bench tonight. He had 21 points out of the 41 points Cleveland had in the first quarter. It was a very, very solid first quarter for Darius Garland and the Cleveland Cavaliers. But unfortunately, sometimes you, run out of gas because Cleveland's roster is completely shorthanded right now. And number 2, Phoenix had more talent to end the game, especially with Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant on one side. And then you got DG, Ice, and Jared Allen on the other side. You can't compete with that. You seriously cannot compete with that. Frank Vogel said, we got a chance to be elite with with Durant, Booker, and Beal, so we're grateful to have them all back. That type of game becomes a slugfest, but you can see the work Devin put in while he was out. He had a great performance. DG had 30 points for Cleveland, so I'm going to give him his props. Karis LeVert had 17 points and 11 rebounds for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland trailed 113-111 with 51 seconds on the clock to get back into the game, but Jared Allen and Isaac Okoro committed back-to-back turnovers to end its comeback hopes. The Cavaliers, who are 3rd in the East right now, were without shooting guard Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Max Strus. Right knee, left ankle, and left knee injuries were the results of that. LeVert said, we know we're capable of winning those type of games, regardless of who we have out there. After they threw a punch, I feel like we kept punching back, but they got hot, and it was hard to stop them. As a result of missing his 18th game of the season, Donovan Mitchell is ineligible for All-NBA consideration. The 5-time All-Star is the 5th leading scorer in the league at 28 points per game and ranks 3rd in steals. Cleveland lost back-to-back home games following the 120-101 to Brooklyn on Sunday. It was on the second night of a back-to-back, so this loss definitely stains for Cleveland. But like I said, you can't do that. You cannot do the BS rule on an all-star like Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell said it best. I don't know if the number of games required is the right number. To see guys like Donovan and Joel Embiid out, that does not feel right. JB Bickerstaff also agreed, saying everyone knows that Donovan Mitchell is an all-NBA player and he's had an all-NBA season. And you can blame Adam Silver for this. The BS rule that you have to miss 65 games in order to be ineligible for all NBA awards. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You know what that's going to do to Donovan Mitchell and Joel Embiid next season? They're going to have a big chip on their shoulder. They're going to have a little bit of swagger among themselves, saying, you know what? You gonna rob me of an All-NBA award? You gonna rob me of an MVP? You gonna rob me of a Defensive Player of the Year? Guess what? I'ma show you. And if I'm Donovan Mitchell, I better have that chip on my shoulder extra tight because the NBA robbed you of an all-NBA season. They robbed you of an all-star season. They robbed you of all-NBA first team, probably all-NBA second team, whatever the case may be. It is just wrong. It is just absolutely wrong that the NBA did this to Donovan Mitchell. It is inexcusable. Inexcusable. Tough loss for Cleveland, but I admire their fight. I admire their courage. I admire Darius Garland playing his heart out. I admire Craig Porter Jr. stepping up. I admire Karis LeVert stepping up. So all credit to Cleveland for at least showing fight and resiliency in this game. But unfortunately, KD, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker were too much for Cleveland to handle. 54% for the field for Phoenix, 47% for the field for Cleveland. The rebounds were 42-37 in favor of Phoenix. The assist numbers 30-23 in favor of Cleveland. The offensive rebounds were 12-10 in favor of Phoenix. The steals were 9-8 Cleveland. The blocks were 6-0 Phoenix. The points in the paint were 44-34 Cleveland. Fast break points 20-14 in favor of the Phoenix Suns. The big three of the Phoenix Suns was the main difference in this game as Devin Booker balled out with 27 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 11-22 for the field in 38 strong minutes in his first game back. KD doing what KD does, 37 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 5-10 from three-point range. And he also had a steal. Nurkic with 9 points with 8 boards. Bradley Beal, 24 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. He was 10 of 19 for the field. Grayson Allen off the bench. Let me tell you something. I don't know why this man was not in the three-point shooting contest. I don't get it. I don't understand it. 14 points, 4 of 5 from three-point range, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 big-time blocks for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Darius Garland, 30 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists and a steal, 10-17 for the field, 7 of 10 from three-point range. Isaac Okoro, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals. Jared Allen, Mr. Consistent, 15 points, 10 rebounds, another double-double for him. Karis LeVert, he did really good as well, 17 points, 11 assists, the double-double for him with 6 rebounds. Craig Porter Jr. had a really good game off the bench, 13 points, 6 rebounds, an assist, 5 of 7 for the field, 1 of 2 from three-point range. Look, I admire the fight for the Cleveland Cavaliers. That is a very valiant effort against a really good Phoenix team, but unfortunately, Phoenix's big three was way too much for Cleveland to handle, but this was a good loss for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I will accept that loss because of the effort Cleveland showed. I love the fight for Cleveland. I love the fight. But speaking of fight, there was no fight in the United Center yesterday as the Dallas Mavericks ran circles all over the Chicago Bulls. I think there's nothing for me to talk about, but I'm going to try my hardest to get my words out when we come back on Let 'Em Know Kings United. Welcome back to Let 'Em Know Kings United, and this is going to be probably the raw reaction kind of segment that I never thought that I would record. First and foremost, I want to issue an apology to everybody that went to the United Center last night, everybody that got a ticket to go watch the Dallas Mavericks and the Chicago Bulls, and everybody that watched the Chicago Bulls on League Pass yesterday. On behalf of the entirety of Let 'Em Know and Bulls Nation, will give each and every one of you an apology for seeing that lifeless, pathetic, disgusting effort that the Bulls did last night. But at least you got to watch one team play hard. At least you got to watch one team that was ready. At least you got to watch one team that was locked in from the jump as the Dallas Mavericks outclassed the Chicago Bulls. I mean, that's putting it lightly. They completely outclassed the Bulls, 127-92 inside the United Center yesterday. And as soon as I saw that the Dallas Mavericks scored a 44-point first quarter, my immediate thoughts were this game was over from the jump. I would like to give the Dallas Mavericks and Jason Kidd and the entire coaching staff of the Dallas Mavericks a crap load of credit. I thought they were ready. I thought they were locked in. I thought that Dallas had more urgency than Chicago. I thought that the Mavs were connected. I thought the Mavs played harder than the Chicago Bulls, clearly. And the biggest thing that I want to give credit to the Dallas Mavericks is they read the scouting report. They read the scouting report. They KYP'd. They knew their personnel. They knew how bad the Chicago Bulls were defensively. They knew how bad the Chicago Bulls are offensively because we don't know how to cut. We don't know how to move without the ball. And we certainly, for damn sure, don't know how to defend pick and rolls. The West Coast trip. The entire West Coast trip, the Chicago Bulls were exposed in the pick and roll. I mean, clearly exposed. Clearly exposed. Because you know what they're doing? Because you know what? They don't have a defensive scheme. They don't. They don't have a defensive scheme. They have no sense of urgency of saying, okay, am I going to take away the three-point line or am I going to take away the pick and roll? And the pick and roll defense for the Chicago Bulls is just absolutely lifeless. It's just open invitations to the lane. It's just open invitations for Luka Doncic to absolutely cook the Dallas Mavericks. And you know what? That is exactly what happened as the Dallas Mavericks came in to the United Center and outclassed, outplayed. They actually played a junior varsity team, to be completely honest. If this was a high school game, the Chicago Bulls would have won. And now, Luka Doncic, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, and the entire Dallas Mavericks told the Chicago Bulls that you only belong on a junior varsity basketball court. Because what I saw for the Chicago Bulls was absolutely embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. You give up 44 points in the first quarter. You didn't want to play. You didn't want to play. I'm not going to give an ounce of credit to any Chicago Bull. No one deserves credit for this. Everybody deserves a piece of blame pie because what I saw last night inside the United Center was absolutely pathetic. Not only pathetic, but absolutely disgraceful. This is obviously the worst loss of the season. Obviously. Look what the Dallas Mavericks did. They read their scouting report coming in. They picked off so many pocket passes that the Bulls like to do. Luka Doncic didn't even have to do much after the first quarter, honestly. He had his triple-double in the first half. He didn't get 30 to extend his winning streak. His triple-double 30-point triple-double streak. But he did finish with another triple-double. 27 points. It's recording another double-double. Recording another triple-double, but doing so without scoring 30 for the first time in 7 games. Luka Doncic finished with 27 points, 14 rebounds, and 12 assists, but exited the blowout midway through the fourth quarter. Jason Kidd said it's about winning to him. Numbers. I don't know if they really mean anything to him today, but when he does retire, he'll look back to see the game that he was playing on a different level than anybody else. And Daniel Gafford, let me tell you something. The Dallas Mavericks won the trade deadline, y'all. The Mavs won the trade deadline because of Daniel Gafford. This man made all 9 of his field goals, extending his run to consecutive shots to 28, 7 shy of the NBA record. Wilt Chamberlain made 35 in a row for the Philadelphia 76ers from February 17th to the 28th of 1967. Gafford said, my philosophy for sure is just being consistent, having a mindset of just going to finish everything, no matter if there's somebody in front of you or if there isn't somebody in front of you. At the end of the day, either dunking it or putting into the rim. The Mavs
set the tone when they outscored Chicago by 28 in the first quarter. The Mavericks gave up a season low in points while handling the Bulls their most lopsided loss. And Derek Lively, this guy was sensational tonight. 22 points. Gafford finished with 20. The two were combined 20 of 21 for the field, making him the first pair to score 20 or more points while combining to shoot 95% or better since Nate Robinson and Wilson Chandler from the Knicks against the Memphis Grizzlies back in 2008. The Mavs were about 55% from the field with Doncic and the big men dissecting them on the pick and roll and won their third straight after losing 3 in a row. Billy Donovan said, "We gave up a lot of rolls to the basket and offensive rebounds. We got to be more pulled in than we were. We kind of were too worried with getting back out to the three-point line instead of saying, hey, we got to take away the roll." I mean, you're exposed. You were exposed. You were basically a cheat code in the West Coast trip, and the Dallas Mavericks simply broke you all down. I mean, there's nothing for me to say. I'm not gonna do the stats. I'm not gonna do any of that because I'm embarrassed to talk about this game. And for those of you that want the stats for the Bulls and the Mavericks, I suggest you go to ESPN and look them up. Because all I'm gonna say is this: to Dallas, all the credit in the world. All the credit to the Dallas Mavericks. I thought that the Mavs were ready. I thought the Mavs were locked in. They read their scouting report. Luka Doncic is just on another level right now. Daniel Gafford is a straight-up beast. Derek Lively is a monster. And if the Mavs continue to stay healthy, they're going to dominate and probably go deep into the playoffs. As for the Bulls, I don't understand you guys. I really don't. You need to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, how can we be better? How can we be more connected? How can we be more purposeful as a team? Because the Dallas Mavericks came in to the United Center and simply taught you how to play. You look like a bunch of school children that never played basketball a day in your life, while the Dallas Mavericks look like the 90s Chicago Bulls out there. I am disappointed. I am embarrassed. And that's all I got to say. All credit to Dallas. I'm not going to talk about this game anymore. I'm just going to end the show right there. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United. You can find this show, which is free and available on your favorite podcast app like Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, all that good stuff, as well as YouTube. Like this video if you are watching it on YouTube. Hit subscribe to my YouTube channel. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Give the show a follow and rate Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. I'm your host, Skylar Weisberg. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you right back here for another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United.